Time no longer. Chapter 19, Part A. The devil, along with his multitude of dead men and angels, must all be convinced that Jesus' way is right. The dark one will be the toughest to convince. God allows him 1,000 years to mull this over. This time period gives him ample time to realize the futility and folly of his treacherous ways. The multitude of dead angels and unrepentant humans realize this fact at Armageddon, but the devil stands alone, unwilling to admit God's way as the only way. This period of time allows the righteous to catch their breath, as it were. They are now able to witness the awesome power of God firsthand. They worship Him for saving them from eternal destruction. They have 1,000 years to examine all the records of humanity. This will be a high-level course in history. Every act of every human being will be available for review. All will have time to resolve any and every question in their mind as to the justice of God. It will also be a time for healing of nations. Throughout history, there have always been wars resulting in almost insurmountable animosities and build-up of prejudices. God has designated these 1,000 years as a time to heal all of the old and very deep wounds. God wishes all hatchets buried deep in the eternal cauldron of fire so that nothing can ever again spoil the perfection and tranquility of heaven and the universe. All will know and understand justice, truth, and the unending love of God. Paul in 2 Corinthians 2:12 speaks of a third heaven. This third heaven may be a halfway heaven, possibly in some other galaxy where God's people may go to study and heal while the millennium passes on this old earth. It may be where the healing of nations occurs. God's heaven is a perfect place with nothing defining or mean. We may therefore be placed in this third heaven for 1,000 years and then brought back to the New Jerusalem after the millennium to live eternally on the new earth. We will be able to visit God's heaven whenever we wish. What an unbelievable life awaits all those who choose Jesus as their King. What an awesome God we serve. 7,000 years have now passed by since the creation of this planet. In the study of Revelation and the personality of God, it is constantly amazing to see how organized He is. Everything is so exacting and so precise. 7 days for the creation of this planet, 7 days per week, 12 months per year, 60 seconds per minute, 60 minutes per hour, and 7,000 years for the human race to travel the earth to determine its fate. His love of order is magnificent even in the face of human uncertainty. God is now ready to punctuate the justness of his philosophy and let the devil off the mat one last time, in hopes of changing the wickedness of him and his followers. Would God even now forgive Lucifer if he were now to repent? Only God can answer that question, but I am sure he has a contingency plan for that unlikely scenario. He looses the devil and resurrects the devil's angels and all the devil's human followers. The devil has had 1,000 years to think everything over, to repent of his terrible crimes against God and the human race. But as soon as he is freed, he feverishly goes about reorganizing his final army. He lost big at Armageddon, but now he gets one more shot at the King of Kings. He is without one bit of remorse. To his credit, he remains the eternal optimist. He is easily able to persuade his generals and their subordinates that complete victory can be grasped from the jaws of defeat. The devil wonders aloud how God can be so gullible to think that he, the devil, can lose a third time in direct confrontation with God. He lost in a close fight in the first major battle that took place after Christ's return from his sojourn on earth to save mankind. The devil also lost badly at Armageddon, but he felt it was a fluke, and this time he will be better prepared and will rout the Most High. After all, he was Lucifer, the son of the morning star. He had now had 1,000 years to formulate his new plan of attack. With a little luck, he would have won the other two battles. No one can beat the mighty Lucifer 3 straight times. No one. Never in the history of the universe was anyone ever more wrong, and never will there be a defeat of greater or more lasting magnitude. The devil is extremely persuasive, and he is easily able to convince his evil throng to quickly rearm and take on the King of Kings one last time. He gives impassioned speech after impassioned speech to the throngs who have been resurrected one last time to fight this final battle. First, he admonishes his evil angel generals to carry their banners high. There is no way they can lose. They are skeptical at first. They have been hit hard twice and are not sure they want to give it another go. Some still have deep bruises from the 50-pound hailstones and other deeper wounds from the fiery swords of the angels of God. But gradually the great deceiver wins them over. It is a much easier task to convince the human contingent. Napoleon and Hitler are easily swayed and the rest follow their lead. Great cheers are heard coming from this desolate old planet. The uniforms and war paint are put on, and the great war machines are cranked up for one last glorious battle, one that the devil and his gang believe they are destined to win. Make no mistake, this is no little regiment of poorly outfitted soldiers. At this time in history, the number in Lucifer's Legion will be staggering. In 1997, the world population was estimated to be nearly 6 billion. The total number of human beings ever conceived may approach or even exceed 20 billion. For the sake of argument, let's assume that one half of humanity chose to walk with God. That leaves Satan with an army of 10 billion, yes, 10 billion soldiers, an unimaginable force. More firepower is assembled on this planet than all previous forces combined. Every conceivable weapon is built and deployed in the little season God allows. This final scenario reiterates one final time God's justice and mercy. If someone killed your son, would you give him even one trial? You would immediately want an eye for an eye. If you gave him one trial, you certainly wouldn't give him a second one and a third. Why would you have to have your head examined? As stated previously, God is far more lenient than we would be. But by these methods of judgment, not one mind in all the universe will ever again question God or his authority. The peace and comfort we can derive from that fact is beyond comprehension. God is love, and all these 10 billion beings were created by him, yes, even Lucifer. He still desperately wants to save that one last sheep for his fold. But alas, he knows it will not happen, and the amount of grief this will cause God, we can never know. This God of mercy and love will now cry as a child. The hole left in his heart can also never be understood. Yet he knows that he must preserve life at any cost, so the show must go on. The cross was the final turning point for Satan. He viewed the crossroads, but he turned away from his Creator. The remaining 10 billion humans turned south at probation's close at the end of the time of the end. Their time had finally run out, and of course don't forget the 10 billion evil angels that courted humanity down its destructive path. The stage is now set for the final act, Act 3 of the great saga, Earth. Satan's massive and invincible army, some 20 billion strong, is poised and ready finally win the greatest victory ever. After all, God only used hailstones the last time. Satan's huge laser systems will now be ready and just melt them before they hit the ground. Then the devil can launch his devastating nuclear attack and come up a winner. Though not one to underestimate God, he doesn't see God as all that creative. A little hail will be no problem. 20 billion finely tuned soldiers of Satan will simply overwhelm God's band of inexperienced and unarmed warriors.